This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. When we think about the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy in the Black community, let's remember, it didn't happen by chance. It's justified in history. But the will to change the narrative is strong today, and our people are lending their voices to the conversation. We're sharing our stories and the reasons that made us choose the vaccine so we can lead the way for others to make a well-informed choice too. To hear our stories, visit hereforuswa.org.
A burst pipe at 3 a.m. is a bad way to start the day. A cold shower in November isn't invigorating. So before you start freaking, call Beacon. Beacon Plumbing, Heating, and Mechanical is just one call away 24 hours a day. 1-800-FREAKIN or beaconplumbing.net.
99.9 KISW, the Rock of Seattle. Not sure you're going to want to hear about this, man. Sometimes you just want people to be angels forever.
Right.
But on the podcast, The Originals, Andrew Goldman interviewed Joel Thurm, who was the casting director for Golden Girls. And Joel revealed that both B. Arthur and Rue McClanahan did not like Betty White.
This is interesting that's being brought up because this has been like a not a moral dilemma for my entire life. But I can't remember who we had on the show. It was a female comic, and it wasn't Sarah Colonna. This is many, many years ago. And I think it was off the air that she said something to the extent of Betty White was a total bitch to her.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
And I remember thinking, this just wrecked me. Like, because you just always picture Betty White as being America's sweetheart. And then you're like, you know what, though? Is it a big surprise that someone who seems very lovable on camera, maybe behind the scenes, is a total jerk? And it wasn't like they were, like I said, I don't think they said it on the air. So they weren't looking for like any kind of like, to create any kind of like controversy. They just randomly was brought up while we were doing like a commercial break.
Was it Lisa Lampanelli?
It might. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I don't
You know
remember.
what's funny? You talk about art imitating life. Now, you guys are too young to really remember the Mary Tyler Moore Show, but Betty White played Sue Ann, which was like this sort of, she did a cooking segment on the news, and the whole show was about a newsroom. And so Betty White played Sue Ann, the cooking lady. But what she was all like, la, 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 la. Everybody thought she was great. Once the camera was off, she was as mean as hell, the character. And how about maybe that's was like, basically art imitating life a little bit,
right,
according to what we're hearing. I mean, it was bad enough that that B and Rue would both refer to Betty using the C word, and B would call her an effing C word, which, you figure that B. Arthur always seemed to be a person that would just speak her mind. And
right.
I could hear her saying, effing blank. I mean, I really could hear B. Arthur's voice saying that.
Well, you remember B on like some of those celebrity roasts on Comedy Central? Like, you would be like, oh man, I did not realize that she had that kind of a foul mouth.
Yeah. Oh, B was amazing. And so here's Joel Thurm talking about the fact that, they were not, those two did not like Betty White.
Was Betty White popular in the cast of Golden Girls?
No, the women hated her. One of the things is, literally B. Arthur just said, oh, she's a using that word. Yeah, she called her the C word. I heard that with my own ears. And by the way, so did Rue McClanahan.
Wow.
That is something.
And none of these ladies are with us anymore, so we can't get to the source.
That's the problem. And I get it. Old school is you don't talk about anybody until they passed away, though other people would say you aren't supposed to speak ill of the dead at all. But usually people go, now the dirt can come out because they're not alive.
Right.
And you didn't want to humiliate them while they were alive. But you got to wonder, like, okay, well, all right, this is what happened. But what the hell did Betty do that, caused Rue and B to just not dig her so much?
This I remember clearly. Estelle Getty began to have increasing problems with memorizing lines. And she would write the lines on her hand. And if she went up, Betty White would make fun of her in front of the live audience. That may seem like a minor transgression, but it really does get to you. I have no idea how Estelle Getty felt, but I know the other two did not like her at all.
Well,
I could see that. Like,
boy, it's a show about old people. The older you get, you're going to forget us. That's just wow, Betty.
So
Man.
yeah, so Rue and what would B, which are two names that you just don't ever say anymore. Rue and B,
Dorothy and Blanche.
Yeah, they hit a point where they're like, dude, don't make fun of us. Estelle was probably very well loved. Yeah, that's the vibe I would get.
She was a really fun character. Even though they were all the same age, by the way, even though they made Estelle look like she was older than the other three.
She was the best character.
Yeah, and so I wonder if there was a little jealousy. because of the fact that her character was really, really loved.
So we said on the promo for The Proposal, they had Betty White treating Ryan Reynolds like total crap and then acting sweet when anyone else was around. So maybe it was like a life imitates art kind of thing.
Wow, I forgot about that. Oh,
and I mean, she was super foul mouthed in the movie Lake Placid. So I mean,
there we go.
Like, maybe she's just like, you know what? This is the chance for me to be the real me.
I do like this text that says this guy waited 100 years to talk bad on Betty White. Talk about having some tiny balls.
Like you said, Steve, people just don't want to believe it. They just don't want to believe it. And I mean, look, man, I have to say, I think that B. Arthur and Rue McClanahan are probably they were probably the most liberal female actors of their time. So it's like, to piss them off, you probably had to be a jerk. You know what I mean? Because I think they let a lot, go by because, they had to work in Hollywood back in those days where women were treated the way they were. And they were both, tough and very successful.
B. Arthur was a Marine. I mean, she was a badass.
B. Arthur was. You aren't kidding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mess with B. Arthur. Yeah, no way about that. So there you go. Betty White, apparently, like all of us humans, has her moments where she's not so nice. Sorry, people. I'm happy to hear that because it makes me feel good about me because anybody could tell stories about me being a complete jerk. And I feel like no matter what I do that's good.
Show with that.
Oh, yeah, I think we have.
All right. Well, we don't need to elaborate on that. But it's like, I feel like, look, I feel like most human beings, if not all, are pretty much that way. Like they have their good moments and their bad moments. And we as a society just seem to think that nobody should ever have bad moments, even though we all do. We all have moments where we go, God, I was a jerk then. I'm sorry.
Right.
And, I've made fun of people. I've done a lot of things in my life that, now I go, boy, you really were a jerk then. And I would look bad if somebody said, somebody brought it up. So who
for all we know, over the course of her time, maybe like as she got older, way older, she started realizing, okay, I got to be nicer. Because, I mean, it doesn't really change like what I think about Betty White. Like she was still a national treasure. Everyone loved her in that sense. Like, it was fun to watch her on some shows, but it is interesting though. Like, I remember hearing that comic say that and thinking, no, there's no way. And then you hear this and you're just like, well, okay, maybe there was a way.
And, it really just, when you think of all the stuff they had her do, the Snickers commercial, she was not nice. Because that was what she was supposed to be, because she was hangry. I'm wondering if that was always an inside joke, like, all right, we need somebody who no one thinks is a B and have her be a B in that moment. Not
Betty
a B
White.
Arthur, but a B, but a biatch.
Well,
So they get Betty White, who maybe was always that person, nice to your face and sometimes not so nice to your face.
Now I want a Betty White documentary.
Oh, yeah.
yes. I've actually just started watching Golden Girls for the very first time. I think I'm on season 3 or 4.
Good for you.
And
That's crazy that you're now watching Golden Girls.
right. It's been on my list since like high school because I had a friend in high school who was
How
obsessed
long
with
is your
it.
list? Are you finally getting to it?
Well,
Yeah,
the
that's a
fact
long
that
list.
Betty White, passed, it kind of bumped it up a little
Right.
bit.
Oh, that's it.
But she always played the dumb character, and they always made fun of her for being stupid. So I'm wondering if she had that chip on her shoulder. Like they probably, they really think I'm stupid. I'll show them.
I don't know.
No?
She didn't do that on the Mary Tyler Moore show. She was, she was stealing people's men right in front of the women that she was stealing. Sue Ann was not a nice character, which I think, when you're an actor, what a great role to play, Wow. Yeah. So there was, talk about a powerhouse show. Mary had her, Valerie Harper, Cloris Leachman, and Betty White all in the same show. Some of the most talented, the female actors, really, that of the time. And even, we've loved what Cloris did while she was with us.
I don't know what show she was on.
Oh, she was on, what, was she on Raising Hope? Yeah.
Raising Hope. She played Ada Whack grandmama, I guess.
I don't even remember that show.
It was a Fox show. Josh Wolf was on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was basically a guy knocks up a serial killer, and the baby, but him and his family are losers, and they all
She
live
would
together.
do
But she was really funny.
I
on
don't
the
remember this.
Oh,
at all.
it's so good.
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
you
few
probably,
seasons
yeah,
were good.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. It's too bad because you probably would have dug it. What she did later in her career is she showed up as the older woman grandmother who did inappropriate things or just seemed, I think the last time we saw her was in the Starz show, American Gods.
Yes.
I think she was in that.
The premise for this show sounds awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No, she
it
ends
was
up.
good.
We don't see anything, but she ends up topless a lot.
Oh,
She
man.
just runs around topless.
I wonder if I can find this show online.
Hulu.
Oh, I bet you.
Boom,
could.
I have
Boom,
that right
you
now.
got it.
You do have it. Congrats.
Sweet.
Yeah, Cloris was. I mean, she really did play a lot of cool. Like you go, that's Cloris Leachman playing the old lady who's whatever. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I remember the name. I can't picture Cloris Leachman though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, my generation, you knew exactly who she was because the Mary Tyler Moore Show was a really popular show, and so you knew her, you knew Betty White, you knew Valerie Harper, because the four of them were just so prominent on that show. All right, Arnold Schwarzenegger just shared a great story about a time that a co-star of his got him stoned without him knowing it. You're going to hear from Arnold at 8:17 on The Rock.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
99.9 KISW, The Rock of Seattle. Arnold Schwarzenegger was on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and he told a really cool story about how Danny DeVito pranked him while they were making the movie Junior back in 1994.
He gives me this cigar, really long one. I put it in my mouth and I light it up, and it was fantastic. We get to the set, we continue on with the scene. I forgot my lines. And so I had to go to the script supervisor, I had to check out the script. I totally forgot everything. Find out then an hour and a half later, when I finally started remembering things again, that Danny put some marijuana in the front of the cigar. I was stoned out of my mind.
That just makes me want to do movies with Danny DeVito.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That just sounds like those two are having some. I mean, you're doing a movie called Junior. They've been in movies like Twins. Like, these are ridiculous premises. I got to imagine Danny DeVito's like, I got to get stoned to do these movies.
Yeah.
Right?
It makes you wonder, the kind of pranks he might have pulled all these years working on Always Sunny. If he's done any crazy things to the gang.
I think
Or
that shows
Taxi. Way back in the day.
I love
way
Taxi.
back in the day, yeah.
And no one has a bad thing to say about Danny DeVito, so it's not
Not
like...
yet. You got to wait till he dies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
right.
Then the casting director will come out and say that
Yeah.
he was a couple words I can't even repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't heard anything bad about Danny.
Getting stoned with Danny DeVito would probably be pretty awesome. I think getting stoned with Arnold Schwarzenegger would probably be pretty awesome, too. Especially if he brings his donkey and little mini horse.
Well, if they end up making the Triplets movie that they've been saying they're going to make for years, I'd want to get stoned with the cast because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito, Eddie Murphy, and Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is a cast
Sold.
right there. That is a cast right there.
Just get stoned, be quiet, and laugh.
Just listen. I'm
Yeah,
gonna-
right? Yeah. I just want to hang out.
Yeah, just be like, I don't know. Well, you're the food. You bring the food to everybody. That's what you work on. You work on the catering table. That's all.
Because if memory serves me correct, I mean, I think Schwarzenegger was like smoking joints and like in that weight, was it the hell was the name of that weightlifting movie?
Pumping
that he did?
Iron?
Pumping Iron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think he was smoking a joint in that.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow, wasn't that like a really old movie? Like
Yes.
one of his first?
Yeah, I think that
Wow.
was his first.
Yeah, that's pretty wild that he was smoking a joint in that one. Wow.
I'm
So
pretty sure, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure the Texans will correct me if I was.
if that's the case, then are we to believe that it was Danny pranked him or he knows that Arnold likes to get stoned, but probably figured, all right, Arnold won't do it on the set, but I'll get him going.
I think it's still a prank, but I bet he felt very comfortable knowing that if I get Arnold stoned, he's not going to try and chase me. Because, I mean, Arnold's massive compared to
true.
Danny DeVito. I bet he's like, I'm sure he's not going to punch me in the face if I do this.
Yeah.
Or he just
Man.
didn't care.
Yeah. I don't think you could do that these days.
Oh, yeah, so I
you
said,
know-
watch Pumping Iron. He's stoned the whole time. I thought so.
Wow. You know what? I did not realize about Pumping Iron.
That's how you get muscles, BJ.
Oh, you get muscles by getting stoned?
Yes.
That's what I've been doing I've been doing this whole thing wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Look at all the stoners you've met in your life. They're all swole.
Totally.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they all
Seth
are.
Rogen, swole.
Yeah, totally swole.
Apparently, he used to work out with Tommy Chong, stoned.
See?
Who's this? Seth Rogen?
No, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Really?
Yeah, he was on
Oh.
and he did an interview last year. Apparently, that was a thing he did because he became friends with him in the 70s.
He became
Okay.
friends with him. That was his dealer.
So here's the thing. Hold on a second. then I mean, am I expected to believe he's smoking a cigar and has no idea there's marijuana in there? And even when he's forgetting his lines, is he trying to come off like super innocent, going, "I didn't even know it. There was a marijuana in the cigar, and I don't know nothing."
Maybe he didn't realize how strong it was going to be, and he's like, "I can't remember anything. I need to blame it on someone." Danny, take the hit for this. And take a hit of this.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm calling a little BS on that story, Arnold, now that we're hearing more information about your stoner ways.
He did say also in that interview that he went on to explain that he did enjoy it, but after 1975 and competing in the Mr. Olympia contest for the 6th time, he stopped smoking weed. So, I mean, at that point, there's 20 years between him and smoking with Danny.
Okay.
He could have maybe plausibly forgot.
I will entertain the possibility that he did go cold turkey. I'll entertain that.
Yeah, he wanted his career to progress more.
Imagine watching old Arnold Schwarzenegger movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger while smoking weed with him.
Dude, that's a weird Inception story.
That is very Inception.
But the questions you could ask and just the belly laughs that you would have if you're sitting next to him and you're like watching Twins or Kindergarten Cop or Jingle All the Way. All great movies.
You want to watch all
2
those.
out of 3, man.
Well, which one's that? Don't even try and dismiss Jingle All the Way.
Oh, yeah, that one's
Kindergarten Cop is a classic.
Yeah, Kindergarten Cop's a classic. Jingle All the Way can be shot into space.
I still have it.
It's good for you.
Look, I wouldn't watch it during non-Christmas season, but for Christmas movies, it's pretty freaking awesome.
I don't think I've seen any of those movies.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah, I never have.
Not even Kindergarten Cop?
No, Arnold. Yeah.
It's such a quotable movie.
Yeah, I was always with the serious Arnold movies. If you can call them serious.
Twins.
Yeah, like what? Like The Predator, like Conan, like
those were great.
Total Recall.
Yeah. I recently went back and watched Predator because the wife had never seen it before. And guess what? It holds up.
It does?
I mean, for an 80s action flick that's super cheesy, yes.
Is it Carl Weathers is in it?
Carl Weathers is in it.
And Jesse Ventura.
Yep, Jesse Ventura's in it. And
Let's go.
It's so good.
Wow. That's a lot to say because, we're talking with special effects and with all sorts of stuff. You still say it works.
Yes. Even my wife liked it, and I was really not sure if she would be okay with it or not.
Okay. Well, you know what? If your wife liked it and she never saw it before, that surely is, it's a nice testimonial.
Somebody says, hey, Rev's on my bad list now. Not like Jingle All the Way.
That's fine. I stand by it.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be rushing to see any of those movies anytime soon.
BJ, we have some exciting news on the Seahawks front.
Oh, what's going on? I heard we had like a coach that we were going to hire and then somebody else wanted him. What's going on?
Yes, they just announced they're hiring former Bears defensive coordinator Sean Desai as the associate head coach on the defense as well.
What the hell does that even mean?
A lot of people believe that means that he would probably be groomed to be the next future head coach for the Seahawks.
Really?
When you have that kind of a title. There's no guarantee, of course, but that just seems like they're giving him more responsibility than just being a defensive coordinator. They're actually pumping up one of the guys that they already have there who he used to work with in Chicago to be that. So it seems like they're handing over more responsibility and maybe more power to Sean to handle the defense, which I think, and from what everyone says, that this guy is just a stud, 38 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
let's go.
It's look, the defense, we'll see what happens. I always get worried whenever there's new schemes, but I feel like defensively, maybe it's easier than offensively when you get a new person. But it's still, hey, look, anything that they can do to improve the team, I'll take it.
Way to take good news and make it seem like it's not that great of news.
Well, you saw what happened. We were all excited about Waldron, weren't we?
Yes.
And what the season
he had a
to
bum
be.
finger he had to deal with, though.
Well, there was that.
Not
and
his,
also,
but Russell's.
Yeah. But when you get somebody new who's introducing new ideas and new schemes, it does take a while to adjust, and sometimes that can be half a season.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, if you're okay with it, then that's all that matters.
Dude, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over every year and expect different results. Here we got someone new and young. Let's go with it.
Well, don't get me started. The defense surely, I feel like, the defense. Actually, I don't know if the defense was really the problem last year. Surely they weren't great, but they were on the field a lot. And there's a defensive coordinator can't do anything about an offense that keeps them on the field all day, right? So that's. But look. The funny thing is we were asking for Ken Norton to be kicked off the team many, many years ago. So it's like, This is a move I would have been happy about maybe 2 years ago.
You would have probably found a reason to have the glass half empty isn't over there.
Oh, of course I do. I'm a sports
All right,
fan.
how about this is good news maybe.
Okay, what do you got for me?
They also fired their offensive line coach, Mike Solari. I'm sure you'll get fun with that.
Offensive line. Well, I mean, when you think about it, yeah. I mean, it's like, the offensive line's been what it's been. So, okay. So we're getting a new offensive line coach.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Danny DeVito is going to give you something to smoke before each game. Nice.
Well, I'm excited. I'm glad you're happy.
You know what? You're a guy that always is half. You're half full on what you think. You probably think they're going to the Super Bowl right now, right?
Oh, guaranteed. I'm ready to place my bet.
Yeah. And eventually you're going to be right, just like you were, right about the Mariners. That eventually they're going to have a decent team to put on the field. Which, if they can ever get that lockout done, boy, that would be a great thing to be able to see that season this year. Yeah, I'm a little grumbly about that, Steve, because I just be like, a
defensive coordinator can't fix that, BJ.
Well, he can't hurt it either. I say give him a try. Nobody else has been able to make this thing work. Let's get the football guys to help baseball figure it out. Come on. Yesterday, Steve, he did get this one right.
There are 16 cups in 1 gallon. How many cups are in 3 gallons?
You can do it.
Math.
You can do it.
16 cups in 1, 16,
okay,
30, 48.
Yes.
Woo! Nice job, buddy.
Thank you.
You know what? I knew you'd do it. I knew you'd come through for America. You did it.
Aw.
You want a shot at beating Steve? All right, you got it. 206-421-ROCK. We're playing Beat Miggs. We'll do that at 8:50 on The Rock.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
For tank and tankless hot water heaters, for clogged drains, for leaky faucets, for toilets that won't flush. Stop freaking and call Beacon. Beacon Plumbing, Heating, and Mechanical is your trusted source to solve all your plumbing needs. 1-800-FREAKIN or beaconplumbing.net.
Take the next step toward the career you want, be it business, cybersecurity, healthcare, or more. UMGC can help you get there. No application fee when you apply by August 31st. Visit umgc.edu, certified to operate by Chev.